Hello, welcome back to One to the Force, the Star Wars podcast. I'm Phil, of course, and joined as usual by my co-host Dave and George. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good
Evening.
evening. Seems like it's been a little while, actually. It feels like it's been a while since we've got to sit and talk Star Wars.
Yeah, it's been a very, we thought this was going to be a very light episode, then all of a sudden it turned into quite a hectic episode. But yes, welcome to our 40th anniversary special. We had plans, and we do still have plans to do a proper special, but this is our usual podcast, but that's our proper special one for this. So we have an awful lot to get through this week. So we'll start off with probably the biggest breaking news of all is that Vanity Fair yesterday broke cover with 4 brand new pieces of cover art. And then we just got this absolute flood of news. So I'll let George kind of start us through, take you through some of the pictures, and then we should go from there.
I don't actually have the images of the covers. I've got all of the images from today's article. But if I would talk about the covers quickly, it's the usual monopoly now. They know that people are going to buy 4 magazines that are the same to get all 4 covers, so they did that for Star Wars. People remember, throw their minds back. Vanity Fair did the 2015 Force Awakens issue, which was the famous cover of Finn, Chewbacca, Han, and Rey, I believe, together on the Millennium Falcon, and photographed by Annie, I can't pronounce her name, Lebouts or something like that.
Annie Leibovitz.
Yeah, and they've done it again. It's kind of Star Wars tradition. I think she did the same in Phantom Menace in '99, Force Awakens, and obviously now Last Jedi. So it's kind of cool, but I'll just go through the covers quickly. There was one of the Dark Side, which had Kylo, Phasma, and Hook. So I've got images for later on, but without the cover art bit. Sorry. And there's another cover with Finn, Poe, BB-8, and Rose. I almost forgot her name then. The new characters everyone knows from Star Wars Celebration. Third cover, Luke and Rey on Skellig Michael. And the fourth cover, my favourite one, which was kind of dedicated to Carrie. Just a brilliant pose from her. So they were the covers, and why not go for the images? If you give me guys a couple of seconds, I'll hit the screen shares for you. And
No.
I think... Nope, I've screen shared the wrong ones. Bear with me. There's an MP3. I'm just loading up the images to use.
No. What you will know is obviously we're now getting pictures. So anyone who is listening to this in the future or on iTunes when this comes out the next couple of days, we'll be talking about what we're seeing on these images and just going through them a little bit. So obviously you can have a look at the pictures, and they're out there to be looked at on the Vanity Fair website. They're all over the internet at the moment. So
Indeed, we've shared the article on our Facebook page, so you can find them there as well. I think we've shared it on the Twitter. I can't remember, but we'll share it on there if we haven't already. So yeah, you'll be able to see what we're seeing. It's a really cool set of images. It's our first look into #LastEats. It's our first look at the Last Jedi. It's the first look at this ever-expanding Star Wars universe. So I'm very excited for this. As we know, it picks up immediately from Episode 7, so this should be very, very cool to look at. George, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm screen sharing them. What I will say is that when you screen share on Google Hangouts, it only cuts to me in the camera if I'm talking. So I'll breeze through the 14 so everyone can see it, and then we'll talk about our favorite ones and jump back to them. Does that make sense?
absolutely.
So if there's an MP3, image 1 is basically the cover art, but without the writing. You've got Luke and Rey on Skellig Michael. He's in his kind of old man Jedi robe and with a leather glove, which I know Phil has details on, and a tapestry. It looks amazing seeing this shot on location, and it's made me even more excited for my trip there in July. I won't lie about that. I'm going to keep referencing that. Second image is literally Rey with the lightsaber out training in the darkness, looking like she's in some kind of Rocky montage. It's kind of cool. She's got stuff on the floor next to her, but again, it's more or less displaying the location at mind. I think that's a big part of this. Third one, you have Rey in the cockpit of the Falcon with Chewbacca. Very weird imagery, not seeing Han with Chewbacca, and in all honesty, I'm assuming it's Skellig because of the water in the horizon, but it literally looks like something you'd see on a theme park ride, or if someone had a custom cockpit in a normal airplane, because there's clouds, and I've never really seen that properly in Star Wars. It just looks too earthy. Not a bad thing, but a very odd image. The fourth image, one of my favorites, like I said, the 2 covers, we've got Leia, and then they've kind of merged the set with her, Poe, Finn, Rose, and BB-8 together, all in their costumes. Leia's repping some amazing kind of robe, looks like a proper politician. Got a bit of dark side about it. That's how I feel of that image, but it's an awesome one. The fifth image, we'll go into this in a lot more detail shortly, but we have our first image of a load of the new aliens. Obviously, we've had the cantina, we've had the reggae cantina. This time they're taking us to a sort of casino-type world. Very intriguing by that, but in this image, it's just got a load of it's just to display how amazing their creature effects studio is, in all honesty, and their costume department. It looks amazing. Some tall aliens, some small ones, some really weird shaped ones, but everything looks like it's a part of Star Wars. Next up, we've got another image from there. We've got some really weird costumes on display, a lot more human people than the previous one. There's someone that literally looks like she's wearing one of them like pregnancy tops, but it's at the upper half of her, and it's some weird zebra-ish printing. I've got no idea what it is. I'm very intrigued. I think a lot of people will be. And then we've got a behind-the-scenes one, a really awesome one. We've got Anthony Daniels in the C-3PO gear with a few of the CFX crew. You've got Lee Towersy working on R2-D2, Matt Denton, BB-8, and a couple of other CFX guys who I don't actually know. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your names already. But it's a nice behind-the-scenes image. Another behind-the-scenes image, you've got Ryan Johnson, Kathy Kennedy, Mark Hamill, Mark Millie, and Carrie together on set. It's a black and white one, and then we've got one of the more touching images, which is Carrie with her daughter Billy Lord, both in costume together, and literally a mother-daughter image. Obviously, they're not related in these films, but it's a really nice image to see. Then we've got another great one. We've got Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher together, twins reunited. He's in his costume. She's in the same one. I've noticed they're not giving anything away regarding that. Then we have our first image of Laura Dern in a kind of pink-ish costume. We've had her name revealed, which we'll go into detail on shortly, but looks very, to me, Star Warsy, but they've kind of ruined that before we hit record. Then we have our first image of Benicio del Toro. He is not Thrawn for people. I'm just going to say that he is in blue. He's just in some like badass pose. Very excited to see what's happening with him. We've got some amazing behind-the-scenes image of Kylo literally looking like he's going to rip someone to shreds with his lightsaber in midair. He's still got the cross guard. You can see the scar on his face a lot better than you could off the trailer, so that's awesome to see. And then we have the dark side cover, which is unmasked Captain Phasma with some, basically, as Phil said earlier, a sort of Emperor's Royal Guard pike. Kylo with his lightsaber out in some, legs wide apart stance, and General Hux just looking snobbish as ever in the background. And that's the 14 images. And now I'm just going to guess we're going to go into it in detail together.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing I do love, my favorite one has to be the Kylo Ren one, only because it's showing a different look. He's going more down the Vader route with a proper cape this time, instead of having a over tunic over the under tunic that he's got. So you now see the under tunic more. I will say that we had some comments down below from the live chat saying how from Robin from Serenity Forever 25 saying how Poe looks a bit like Han. I mean, Finn did steal his jacket, so he did need a new jacket for this one. So that's kind of interesting to look at. And of course, hashtag Last Jedi is now trending in the comments below as well. We will get that properly trending at some point. But I do love some of the images. The Carrie Fisher with Billy Lord, I do absolutely adore. Laura Dern as Vice Admiral, Amelin Holdo, that's kind of cool to see. And of course, the casino, which is on Canto Bight. We're going to go into this information in a bit more detail soon. But I really love these photos. Dave.
Yeah, I mean, personal favorites. I love the one of Mark and Carrie. I think that picture is just an exceptional piece of photography and showing those two characters back together in full character as well, not just shot in production, not outside of production, sorry. I love the shot, although it's overly posed, I do love the shot of Rey with the lightsaber in training mode. It is massively, this is not part of your film, this is just a big, I need this to be posed. And again, I really do love the shot of the dark side shot. I love the fact Phasma actually looks mean with her helmet off, and that pike, she looks really good. And Hux, I just want him to be shouting every time he's on screen. But yeah, they're really nice photos that came out. It's quite a big article, so if people want to go to Vanity Fair and have a read, it's got some really good stuff, like some interview with Mark Hamill in there, so that's really good. Some insight.
It's well worth the read. They're long, but it's very well worth it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed stuff from Ryan Johnson as well. I don't know, George, with the as you were saying just before, I know that the focus that Ryan Johnson's getting seems to be much higher than JJ.
Yeah, so I remember from the build-up to Episode 7, a lot of it was, this is new Star Wars film, and JJ's bringing back Star Wars. He's the reboot god. But no one ever really spoke about JJ's talent, and I think he's a very good director. But it was always about, can he handle it this or the other? Whether or not it's just because it's restarting. But with Rian Johnson, almost every article was going, this is an exceptional writer. Vanity Fair makes the point. He wrote this film alone. JJ had Lawrence Kasdan. He was, he had a lot more rewrites. I've forgotten the name of the previous writer on it as well. I'm sorry about that. But he was cut from the film. So you have essentially 3 writers on Force Awakens, and 1 writer solely on Episode 8 is very intriguing indeed. But the article itself, it's about a 5-10 minute read, in all honesty. Normally, with these cover shoots, especially for Star Wars, they're on the cover and there's like 3 paragraphs of information. But this is a mega issue. I mean, this is something, although I've read it online, I'll pick it up and get it in person because there's a lot to take in from this. It's a fantastic article giving you sort of details on each kind of area, what the characters are up to. You can tell this is one of the few sort of marketing ploys that Disney are going to be like, you know what, you can release this. We're going to come to Vanity Fair, so we will let you talk about the Star Wars stuff. Hardly anyone else is going to get that opportunity.
Indeed. I mean, as I said, we all, again, naturally here, we all love the Star Wars universe, and we love what JJ did with Episode 7. But I'm really intrigued to see, especially if you read into this article more and more, what Rian Johnson's going to do with Episode 8, purely because he does say that Episode 8 is quite a dark film, and he included Canto Bight to give it this lighter edge. He wants to include some of the comedy, so I'm very interested to see how this will go. But yeah, so that was look at the pictures, but we now also from the article have a lot more information out of it. So, for example, Benicio del Toro's character is called DJ, or he doesn't really have a name in the film, doesn't get named. His set nickname was DJ. Apparently, we'll see more about that when the film comes out. Laura Dern's character is called Vice Admiral Amelin Holdo. I did mention that already. Rose has a surname now. It's Rose Tico, and she actually has a sister, a gunner called Paige. Played by a Vietnamese actress called Veronica Ngo. So we've already mentioned about the city where the casino's base is called Canto Bight. And again, there's more information coming out from this Vanity Fair article with a couple of little sound bites here and there. So you got Luke, it transpires, has been living in this village among an indigenous race of caretaker creatures. Which I'm very interested to see what they're like. I mean, we'll discuss this a little bit first before we move on to the second soundbite, but I'm very interested to see a little bit more about Act 2 and about what Luke has been doing for these past few years.
Yeah, I mean, everyone assumed he's alone, and it's almost common knowledge to assume that, but by them saying, he's got some creatures on the planet, there was a rumor several months ago that there were going to be some creatures on the island. The same creature, I think, seen in Rebels. I forgot the name of it. It's not a Loth cat, but it's something that's in Star Wars Rebels, so apologies for that. So that kind of sheds a bit of light on that it could be that. It could be something original, but he's not alone. I guess that's the main thing at the minute. There's more than just Luke and Rey. Whether or not that actually ties into it too much, I genuinely doubt it. I just feel that they'll be there in the background, almost like insects.
So those huts that you saw in the background of the picture, the first one, the domed huts, apparently they're the living quarters of said creatures. So whether they are more than just animals or if they are just maybe force-sensitive creatures, maybe I'm thinking if they're there and there's just Luke, that there might be a link within the Force to see why he's there and why those people are there, or if they're just that's where they lived always and Luke has turned up.
It'd be interesting to see how sentient they are as well, because if when you look at it, it could be just as these creatures. It could just be, basic animals like monkeys or something. Kind of. I mean, I know Robert Devereaux's put it as a Lasat. I don't think it's a Lasat. They'll have there. Lasats are very rare and they're only on near a sun, so we'll see. But I would like to see a more sentient, force-sensitive species where Luke has gone to hide and continue his learning. I mean, that was the whole thing from Empire to Jedi, is after Luke lost Yoda and things, like as in when he went away, when he had to deal with Vader and things, he continued his training. And his whole arc has been looking at growing and learning. So it'll be interesting to see if he went somewhere where he could learn. He went to the first Jedi Temple to learn. So we're interested to see, again, how sentient these creatures are. And then the second soundbite we have is Finn and Rose's adventures take them to a Star Wars Monte Carlo environment, little James Bondish to catch a thief. This is where we have Canto Bite. This is where we have this kind of high-end, high-fashion casino. And it'll be very interesting to see.
This is going to be intriguing because it's kind of cool that we're going to see the main guys split up all doing different things. Because if you look at the trailer, I'm just going to assume that Poe's back at the sort of the Resistance First Order headquarters. Rose and Finn are going to be out and about. Obviously, Rey's with Luke. So it's nice to see the sort of the trio get split up from each other, which is similar-ish to Empire Strikes Back, but you see this in a lot of film these days. It means you can bring in new characters. You can do multiple stories that will tie in together at the end, as I assume they will do. I'm kind of really excited because it would have been too easy for them to have done another cantina, and Takodana basically is a reggae cantina. It's for all the complaints people say about Episode 7 being exactly like A New Hope, that is the cantina for that film. But this casino, this is the high-end aliens. You're not going to see the low scumbag aliens. You're going to see like the rich of the rich, similar to Coruscant in Episode 3 when you've got the Opera House. You see a couple of aliens, including George Lucas and his family.
Yeah, you'll
all
see
painted
high-end
blue.
scum.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm expecting. It's going to be the rich of the rich, the nastiest people. And part of me, I really want to see Benicio del Toro in with these guys. Like he's some sleazeball that has to get them through it. Because I'm so intrigued by who he's playing still.
I would love a cameo of Lando in the back of that, because I reckon that's where he could be.
Lando wouldn't get in there.
He's the smoothest guy in the world. Of course he could. Hello, what have we here? I'm allowed in. Thank you. You know, he can work his way in. It will be fine.
I know what George is saying about the cantina, and you get that. You've seen the cantina before, but it's going to be strange to see if this actually takes... I saw when I first saw the picture, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's Star Wars-y for me. And it took me out a little bit. And, I mean, when George said I'd spoiled it with the Laura Dern character, what I mentioned because she has the purple dress and the purple hair. And then they're in this very posh place, and it just totally reminds me of the Capitol and Hunger Games. It was literally the first thing that came to mind when I saw it. I was like, oh, Hunger Games. So I wait to be proven completely wrong, and I'd absolutely pray for that. Yeah, it might be something that I don't know, maybe that generation of fans who are expecting like dingy and dark, and that's what they're expecting from their Star Wars.
That's probably what the rest of the film's going to be like. That's what Rian Johnson said. He wanted to have this kind of bright spot in what is a very dark film. So it'll be very interesting to see. And now we go from scum to more scum with Harrison Ford and his autograph prices.
Phil's views are not shared by everyone at Ones with a Force, a Star Wars podcast.
No, my only view on that is, well, you find it out, Richard Hyams going villain. No, it's his prices for his autograph. It's rant time here again at Ones with the Force, a Star Wars podcast. Everyone knows that we enjoy a good rant about autograph prices, and
it's official picks. That's the group that are doing it.
Yeah.
They came out. Was it last month? Back end of last or beginning of this month, saying we've got an announcement. Harrison Ford is going to be doing a personal signing. He'll be signing, and he'll also do personalized. We'll be releasing the prices soon. And boy, did they release some prices. George, do you want to start us off on those prices?
Yeah. So I saw that I knew I wouldn't be able to afford them. We all kind of had bets with each other. How much is he going to cost, guys? They made it crystal clear from pre-orders. He will be signing things, even Pop Funkos, and I just want to see an image of him signing a Pop Funko with the disgust in his face. And they said you cannot send in anything to get signed. There's going to be a selected list of posters, covers, DVDs, character images, Pop Funkos, Black Series figures. They had everything most 90% of people would get signed on. So fair play to him for that. And then what hit me was he's actually going to personalize them. This was their big selling point. And they didn't say it was going to cost extra, but they said Harrison Ford, he will sign only your first name. Someone said, I'm part of the Garrison. Can I have him address my TK number? They said no. That I agree with, though. Shouldn't be using your UK Garrison number to profit from autographs. And And then the Monday pre-order price went up, and it was like $700. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, I'm intrigued to see how quickly this still sells out. And then it was, what type of autograph, personalized or just his name? So press the, what would it look like if I put George? $1,400. So it's double the price to get only your first name added to the autograph.
It works out for me as that $100 a letter for my name. I was like, what the hell? $1,400. And what these prices are, by the way, this is just on the photos. If you go onto the Funko Pops, the Black Series, they go up by another couple hundred. If you go, you can buy some props as well. There's some replicas and some props and some high-end stuff as well, and the price just goes up and up and up and up. I think the most expensive about $5,000, something like that. I can't remember.
I didn't see any.
What we're saying here really is Felicity Jones, all is forgiven.
No. Let's put it this way, guys. When I saw 700, I couldn't afford it. However, if I was the sort of person that had the money spare or could afford to do it monthly, if I didn't have other things going on, I would have been like, you know what? The only reason I didn't is because obviously I wouldn't have Harrison Ford sign anything that's not my Force Awakens poster, because obviously I've had Mark carry the whole cast except Harrison Ford. So for $700 less, I'm going to go to the Blade Runner 2 premiere and just watch him rip it up in my face. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't agree with his price at all, but at least, I mean, £700 for Han Solo, Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. It's horrific, but I'd still rather pay that than $200 for Felicity Jones. Given he's been in 3 more Star Wars films and a trilogy of Indiana Jones films, and many Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2, and there's the 5th Indiana Jones films on the way. Listen, I'm the biggest takeaway from this to me is I was shocked Harrison Ford doing a private signing. He doesn't need the money. I've clocked on if 1,000 of them are sold, then would the company have made a minimum of $700,000, maybe 1.4 million of the 1,000 are personalized. Obviously, that'll get split between them both, but all the pre-orders sold out. That's the big takeaway. People will pay it. Let's be honest. I said before I would have paid for it. I've got no issue with people going for it.
Yeah, had I had the money that I could freely just say, right, I'm going to spend £700 right now. To be honest, yeah, I probably would have got his signature. I've got a few other official picks.
We all would. However, that's just...
It's disgusting.
I mean, we have our live chat below, and the comments are insane on that one. We have... to start off with, Robin's going, oh, here we go again, because he knows I like my rants on these things, and then it's just gone insane of, like, I'm going to be sick, it's like $400. Like, I expect a night chilling with Harrison Ford for that from Lydia Pearson. Unfortunately, as much as you would love to have an evening chilling with Harrison Ford for $700, I think no. I mean, it's... George, I don't think you spent that much in total getting all the autographs for your poster.
I'm not joking. I was counting in my head. I'll do it now. £130 for Mark Hamill, 80 Carrie Fisher, 50 Anthony Daniels, 40 Chewbacca, or Peter Mayhew, that's 330. Kenny Baker, 35. That's 270. Meeting Brien Herring on Friday. So mine's no, I've calculated that wrong. I think mine's like 380 so far on my Force Awakens poster. I've got my Blu-ray box set signed, probably about 100 quid worth on there. And I'm meeting Donnie Yen on Friday, which is 40 quid. So yeah, the entirety of my Star Wars signings is less than one Harrison Ford. And the thing is, if anyone's read Carrie Fisher's last book, it's wonderful. She says that not in a bad way, but she kind of laughs, saying, I'd have so many people come up to me, and the way she'd write is exactly how she speak. She goes, they'd tell me when they meet me that the only one left is Harrison. She goes, every single time they'd say that, I would genuinely say, good luck. He's the last one you need to complete it. I laughed when I read it because I was like, you know what, that is me. That's 90% of people that go and get autographs. But the best thing is I've seen people online say, I met him at the premiere of Ender's Game like 4 years ago. Guys, think tactically. I've said for a long time I'm going to the Blade Runner 2 premiere. That fails. There's Indiana Jones 5 premiere. I've got 2 chances to meet him for $700 less than everyone's paid. And it can go on my poster.
I believe I was going to say, when we were at Celebration, was the first night when Phil and I were queuing? I don't know if that was before we met you, George, but there was 2 girls in the queue in front of us who came in, and they had Harrison Ford on about 3 things where they had just been to premieres and just got him to sign a bit of paper. It's just like, I was like, yeah, that's cost you nothing. That's cost you turning up early at a premiere.
Yeah, that's cost you a train fare, and that's it.
It's a bargain. And people are doing this. I'm not going to lie. John Boyega is currently on a stage play called Wojciech. It's a famous book doing modern interpretation at the Old Vic Theatre in London. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter that have bought tickets just to meet him. I don't know if I agree with that. However, it made me be a hypocrite because I'm half tempted to just turn up to a theatre show, wait outside in the broad daylight, and get a poster signed. But it's Wojciech's a famous place, so I don't know. I've got to the end of June if I decide if I want to go to that. But again, that's meeting someone for free.
I mean, don't get us wrong. We don't judge people who do it. We would do it all in a heartbeat if we could afford it. However, dude, that's far too much. So we're going to stop the rant now, or else we could go on all night, and we don't have all night, considering our Cantina Talk, our 40 for 40 is huge. So we'll move straight on to Star Wars. Mace Windu is getting a comic book, and I cannot wait to read that, along with the K2SO Cassian comic book that's been announced, which I'm very interested to read. I think the Mace Windu one intrigues me more to see, because this is, again, it's kind of a pre-Phantom Menace book, so it's more stuff set before episode 1 that is canon. So far, we've only had the Yoda arc in the main Star Wars comic and the ongoing limited series of Darth Maul, which I've been reading, which has Cad Bane in it, which is awesome. So read that. If you haven't already started reading it, go read that. It's amazing. But yes, I'm very intrigued to see these 2 new comic books. I don't know if you guys got anything to add on to that.
Sorry, go, George. Go.
I was going to say, I want to see the origin of his lightsaber. I want to see the real life origin where he said to George Lucas, "Make it purple." I'm excited they're doing more prequel era stuff. Myself is definitely the Cassian and K2 interests me more than Samuel L. Jackson's comic, because even in this comic he will be Samuel L. Jackson, and he will want to get those lightsabers off that M&F plane. So it's it's nice that they're still branching out and we're getting more stories. And again, everything that's now coming out is obviously passed by the story group, so we know it's going to be canon. So you're not going to get out there stories anymore of like massively different things or massively different force powers. So it will be an interesting read to see both. And I'm guessing Phil is probably going to be our guy who will check out those comics, certainly both series. So we will find out when it comes out exactly what they're like. Yeah, quick one on Cassian K2 comic. It's a one-shot. I've seen him say online, so it's just going to be
cool.
Like C-3PO. I'm intrigued that I want to see how they're meeting. I still wonder if they'll be in Rebel Season 4. I'm not getting my hopes up knowing it's the final season, knowing they're focusing on other stuff. However, do not be surprised if there's something there. But that'd be kind of cool to see how those 2 met. They're a good little duo there.
Indeed. So we'll move quickly on to Toy Shelf.
And we're getting another rant.
Another rant is incoming. I know you guys out there like my rant. So the Disney Store. Oh god, here we go. They've done some 40th anniversary exclusives, and they've done some die-cast figures, and they've done some sums. I have no idea what sums are. For those of you who are, for those of you out there, it's a kind of looks like a sushi roll, kind of.
Like a bean with a face.
Beanie, yeah, exactly. It's a plushy thing, and it's weird. And yeah, that's what we're getting in the UK. The Americans are getting a nice pin set, a lithograph set, an ornament set, and new Funkos as well. Oh no, the new Funkos is a different part of the news there. I didn't separate it. That's my mistake. But yes, so they're getting an ornament set, a lithograph set. They're getting a pin set, and I think they're getting
statue as well.
Yeah, statue as well. Yeah. And it's just like, again, it's like, really, America, come on. where do we get all the cool stuff? Why not?
So it was. We knew they were going to do some anniversary stuff, and when it was formally announced yesterday at the official the StarWars.com statement, I rang up my local Disney store. Obviously, we live in the UK, and my nearest one's Birmingham Bullring. It's basically one of the biggest shopping centers in the country for those that don't know what it is. And I rang up and said, "Hi, what Star Wars stuff are you selling on Thursday?" And the person on the phone says, "I was checking my manager." He put on the phone and says, "Yes, we've been told we're getting some sums and the die-cast figures." I was like, "Is that it?" He goes, "Yes. Were you expecting anything else?" And you know, it just again they're shunning the UK fan base, and I could rant about Hasbro as well and how they've been doing things recently. I know Dave kind of did that in the last episode, but seriously, like, and I get some of these are limited. There's a couple of thousand made. What's wrong with sending a couple of hundred over to the UK market? You know, I really wanted the pin sets. They looked amazing on the images for them. The lithograph posters, they look awesome as well. But no, we don't get anything. We get some sums, which from what I've looked at, they're literally just like terrible version of TY Beanie Bubbies. Not what? TY Beanie Babies? That's the one. It's basically them smushed up into like a slug, essentially.
Yeah. It looks like a sushi roll.
Yeah, it looks like a sushi roll, yeah. And who on earth is going to want to buy this on the 40th anniversary?
You know
They're
what?
For kids.
I forgot to add this into the news because I got another little tiny rant that kind of relates to this. So speaking of the beanie crap, I got an email from Nerdbox saying, "Do you want to review your Star Wars Celebration box?" Like, you're damn right I do. So I was like, "What did you think of the mug?" Yeah, I like the mug. What did you think of the T-shirt? I love the T-shirt. What do you think of the other bit? So I was like, "What do you think of the beanie?" I hated it. What do you think of the beach ball? I hated it. Do you want to add any additional comments? This was a rip-off. You should be ashamed of yourself for pricing it this much. That's the short version of the rant, but my God, I had to imagine. I was so annoyed. So annoyed, as you guys know. I mean, if you haven't watched our last video, and if you haven't watched my unboxing video, in the unboxing video, I'm kind of trying to be professional as it were, kind of go, yeah, it's really cool, but you can see my enthusiasm just drops off the edge of a cliff. And then, yeah, I kind of let it rip her out last time. But yes, I had an email come through yesterday saying, "Do you wish to rate it?" Like, you're damn right I do. So I did have to send a little bit of a rant back. But yes, so...
I mean, of the stuff that's coming to Disney, I mean, I've got... people who are watching probably see behind me, I do have quite a number of the Elite figures, which is what the 2-pack of the die-cast are bringing out. It's Luke and Han in Stormtrooper armor.
I might get those. I do like
so I probably will pick those up, but it's not something I'll be rushing out. I've got a Boba Fett from last year, the prototype R1. That's got on the thing. It's got May the 4th release in that one. It's got that on the box, so that made it a little bit different. So I got that, but I just can't see myself rushing out for this one. I didn't go and get the May 4th repack.
Wait for Force Friday, mate. We're gonna have a blast for Force Friday. They'll
Let's hope so, unless they go, "You've got all this stuff coming out for Force Friday in America." UK, you get some more sums.
God.
But if that is, we'll just be live from the Disney store throwing sums around. It'll be good. It'll be a fun time. But it just, again, I know I talked about this last time, but I just feel in the UK we get a little left behind when it comes out to merchandise, and there are places to get things. I mean, we've had links this week in our private chats that we've had where the Kylo Ren figure for the
Planet,
Forbidden Planet,
for the Stark of the Base, which is amazing.
Snow on him, and it was dropped out at $9.99. So there are deals to be had, but the exclusives we just don't get enough of. That's really the thing, that we just don't get the exclusives that we should.
And what makes it worse? Crap. They film it here. Most of the cast is English. Well, the new ones are. And, you know, yes, we get the film a day early, but that's because, you know, we're not entitled to having a day early. I don't care we get it a day early. Just give us a bloody exclusive once in a while. And when we do get our exclusives, we've had San Diego ones. Some of them have been at A1 Toys. Some of them have been at Star Action Figures. They don't have any deals in place, and they just lie to these companies saying that there's not enough demand. There is a demand, but people have to buy them off eBay because you don't sell them in our shops. And they don't know there's a demand because they're not buying it off their retailers. They're buying it off the black market. And the way I see it is, I wouldn't be surprised if the Hasbro staff probably take 1/10 of them in, a bit like concert tickets. They might dish them out, but they keep all their private ones, sell them on the black market, get extra cash. Wouldn't surprise me in this day and age if they're doing that. Thrawn at San Diego Comic-Con is going to be very interesting, and I reckon there'll be a Last Jedi figure there too, which would be chaos if it's Luke and he's out early and he's like £300 online.
We're going to have to really come up with a plan of action of how we all get thrown from San Diego Comic-Con.
We will have planned action. We will. But that's different. We're moving on. We've got a lot to get through, as I said. Our last bit before we get into our special is the Battlefront 2 feature. I'll let George kind of talk you through this one. So Dave isn't a massive gamer alongside George, and I cannot wait for this game. But I know George. I have watched the video. I know George watched it more than I have. He's ingested a bit more. I can't wait for it, but I'll let him take you through it as I prepare for our next article.
Yeah, so I was on Twitter, as you do, and EA dropped new trailer, and I was like, what? New trailer this early? It's not E3 till a couple more weeks, and it was a featurette. No issue with that. It was about the story. You got a slight bit more detail. The protagonist, her father's an admiral, was an admiral in the Empire. I'm just going to assume they go and say he got killed by rebels or killed on the Death Star as well. But what struck me, it's a good feature. It goes into the story, the game dynamics, just the bog standard feature they'd released for something this early. But what's become a kind of meme online is the EA director sits down and he says, this is the first time in a Battlefront game where you've taken the point of view from the Empire. And the brilliant meme video puts the sort of the joke jester music on, and then it cuts to the original Battlefront 2 where you're playing story mode as the Empire killing the Jedi Temple. You're doing story mode on Tantine IV. You're doing story mode on Hoth, all in the Empire's point of view. So that was the funniest thing about it. It's a really funny video. But again, E3's in a couple of weeks. For those that don't know what that is, that's basically the Comic-Con of gaming. EA have already confirmed they're going to have a panel. Obviously, they're going to go over their stuff like FIFA, all of the EA content, but that they're going to finish off with Battlefront. That is their big reveal for this year. This is their big game for the year. And I reckon we'll get some more details gameplay trailer this time.
Indeed. I mean, yeah, for EA, out there, we're talking about all the usual stuff, including Madden, including FIFA, including everything else. We will be covering that if they do drop a trailer. George and I will probably hop on and cover that immediately. But yes, so that covers the normal segment of our show. We now got something rather special. So this is our 40 for 40. We asked you on Facebook and Twitter for your top Star Wars moments. George, Dave, and myself have all put in our own top 10. We've modified them accordingly with people's suggestions and with our own lists concerning clashes and stuff, and we've come up with it's not a definitive top 40 Star Wars moments, it's just 40 moments that we all love. It's 10 moments from each of us that we love that are special either to us as people or just in Star Wars in general, and we've taken 10 things that you like as well. We've put them all in this list together. So yeah, this is our 40th anniversary 40 for 40, and we're starting off with Dave.
Yes, so I mean my first pick probably of this list it's what leads us really to here was us all meeting at Star Wars Celebration. To go to something that I went by myself to an event to then randomly think, you know what, I'll go join this queue now, to then meet Phil on the first night and go through that night with him. And then we queue up for another event, and George is in front of us. And we get, obviously everyone's talking about Star Wars, but something clicks and then you find each other afterwards, and then it becomes this where we talk about Star Wars, and it's my favorite thing to do every 2 weeks. I love what we do here. It's become a big part of my life. It's something really special to me. So yeah, my first point literally was meeting at Star Wars Celebration. I just think to do that, to what it's brought out of it, it's one of my top all-time Star Wars moments.
It's a great one. I'm gonna say is ours, as you probably guessed from Dave, it's not just moments from the films. This is anything connected to Star Wars. This is memories, whatnot, the rest. So mine, I've tried to make them not as filmic moments as you can. So I'm gonna start off with one. I remember watching Attack of the Clones at the cinema, and I've just called it the seismic charge sound effect. Very odd choice, but it's without doubt my favorite sound effect from the Star Wars universe. And I remember at the cinema when I was younger, when that bomb went off, I just remember the seats vibrating, and it was amazing. And now it's in the Battlefront games. It's the thermal imploder. It's just an amazing sound effect that I've got a lot of memories with. A very odd choice. It was kind of put on my list, but the main ones I'll do later on.
Indeed. So for me, the first one on the list is the Obi-Wan Kenobi, what is the Force speech? That was a very interesting thing for me. Was as a kid, sat there watching the film, to have someone talk about this mystical force. It surrounds us, it penetrates, it binds the galaxy together. To have a very interesting look at this particular point in the film. Of course, Luke has lost his aunt and uncle. He's been given this lightsaber. You've heard about the Jedi. So then to learn about their beliefs and kind of have it all tying together about the light side, the dark side, to have it from the Hut on Tatooine to where they were on the Falcon to just the rest of the film. So by the end of it, you have Luke being able to hear ObiWan. This speech, for me, is one of my favorite moments in Star Wars franchise history, because it's the first time we get introduced to what is the concept of the Force. And it's a very important moment. To me, I absolutely love it. We'll go on to our first audience member suggestion as well, which is from Jonathan Westall from Facebook. It's Duel of the Fates. Now, who doesn't love Duel of the Fates? It's one fantastic piece of music. And that fight scene between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, along with the space battle with Anakin and all the droids. It's a fantastic piece of music and a fantastic montage. It's a suite that we all absolutely adore here. It's one that's absolutely fantastic. And it's a piece of cinema history that even if you don't know the scenes, you've heard the music at some point in your life. But at least even in a cover format or something, you've heard it. It's constantly on the most played Star Wars songs, along with the Cantina theme, the Imperial March, and other things. So, Dave.
Are we going? Do you want me to move on straight away?
Yeah, okay. To get through. We got a lot to get through this list.
Yeah, my next one was actually something that was, again, part of my life, which was the Episode 1 hype. Now, when Episode 1 was coming out, when it was at the time, so I was there when the trailers started coming out, and the best job I've ever had still, if I could only have got actual money for it, because I got paid nothing for working there. But yeah, so I was there for all the build-up, all the trailers, all the posters, staff trying to scramble to get their hands on posters. And then the being a release, and that being released, the tickets went on sale at midnight. But at those days, there wasn't a website to go to actually order the tickets. You had to come, if you were there was a queue outside the cinema to come on in and buy the tickets. And I was on the box office that night to help out, and I booked up a whole row for me and my friends, and a really good row in the cinema. So I had a really, we'll get those seats there. But yeah, that overall hype when we hadn't had Star Wars for so long, and those trailers that came out, and every generation every saga has a beginning. It was just this immense build that we were going to get new Star Wars, and everything that came out leading up was saying this is going to be the best Star Wars film ever. Fortunately, it wasn't. I still have a big space for Episode 1 in me. It just have some excellent moments, but yeah, that overall hype, the build up, the seeing people in America queuing outside for weeks to get in. Yeah, it was awesome. That's one of my favorite top moments.
I've got one similar Saturday. My next one. It's weird that we're not really talking about it with each other.
Let's do that. Let's add some comments in then. Yeah.
I've gone for the pod race, and the reason. By the way, if anyone can hear the audio has been repeated on the screen, so apologies if you can hear it at home. Yes, the pod race. The memory of this with me is that when I was about 15, 16, my first ever work experience was at a TV shop. When I was setting up around people's houses, fixing them, I would always grace how the sound is working. Because I'm a bit of not a TV geek as such, but I like setting the stuff up when my family buy them. Pod race has become the test formula now. Every single time I set something up, it's Phil. Sorry, I can't hear an echo. I'm trying to work out where it's coming from. The pod race is just a wonderful put together CGI. It still works today, but the sound is absolutely incredible, and it's perfect to surround sounds with.
I think you're right. I mean, certainly when I was talking about just there, Episode 1, there is certainly a standout scene from it. And you're right. I mean, when they released the 3D version, probably the best part of that film was the pod race.
It was amazing, yeah. Yes, so moving on. My next one in here is the Rogue One soundtrack. Oh, even hear my own echo. That's strange. The Michael Giacchino soundtrack. It's the first Star Wars film to not have John Williams score it. And it was for me. It was quite hesitant to see how he would take the Star Wars universe, musically wise, implement it in his own kind of flavor. And see what he would do with the soundtrack, see what themes he would put in, themes of the light side, the dark side, but just the Star Wars-ness. It's a very hard kind of thing to get down. And John Williams, of course, has done all the other feature films, so it's very weird. For me, kind of seeing someone else come in and do it. However, he absolutely nailed it. The Rogue One soundtrack for me was actually better than the Force Awakens soundtrack.
Absolutely concur with you on that one. I thought by some margin, I prefer the soundtrack to Rogue One over Episode 7. I really do.
Sorry,
George, your thoughts on the soundtrack?
The Rogue One soundtrack is absolutely superb. I prefer it to Force Awakens. Force Awakens had a great soundtrack. However, Rogue One is absolutely phenomenal, and I love listening to it. Is that everyone's talking the soundtrack? Sorry about this. I think we've kind of fixed the echo. It might have gone. Got no idea what's happening on the screen.
Still hear it.
You guys are getting it. I have no echo at all. Just to break through what everyone else is saying, I've got nothing at all. I'm getting it perfectly clear from everybody. So hopefully that's what everyone else is getting. Sorry about the little technical stop there, guys. We have an issue there. Everyone's getting it, but yeah, we'll try and sort it out as we go through. But we'll plod on. We'll plod further forward.
Yes, especially for those who are listening via MP3. We are so sorry for that. Yes. So the next one after that is, of course, our next
Next audience.
Yeah, next audience one. There you go. So yes. So this one comes from Simon Mooney again on Facebook, which is Darth Vader versus ObiWan and the Yoda versus Emperor montage at the end of Revenge of the Sith. I mean, that is one montage. I mean, Obi-Wan versus Anakin is filled with emotion, and it's got the Battle of the Heroes soundtrack. And with Yoda versus the Emperor, you know the outcome, but at the same time, you're hesitant to see what's going to happen. The way that Lucas went about filming it and building the tension and the hype surrounding it, it's just incredible. It was just a very well put together piece of film. It was a very well thought out bit. I mean, especially when you watch the, what was it called, on the behind the scenes of episode 3, you have the within a minute documentary. That's it. When you look at the Mustafar side of things, and you look at the model for Mustafar with the lava flowing, and how they had to kind of reverse that, and you can carefully see them lava flowing backwards because they screwed it up. If you look at the mod, the training that goes into it, it's a very well put together bit of film, and by the end of it, you then see how Yoda's sent into hiding and how Anakin's turned into Vader. It's in the how he has to be in the suit. It's just a very well thought out bit of film. I wonder. It still gives me goosebumps. I love that scene. It's Revenge of the Sith is my favorite prequel film, and I'm more than happy to watch it again and still watch that. Dave, back to you now. We're trying to figure out this echo whilst working on that.
So yeah, my next pick is literally Rogue One. When Rogue One was announced as this first spin-off film, to me it was something that could either work or it could absolutely break this Disney project. That they were then going to put this risk on characters we didn't know, characters we hadn't heard of, but we knew around about what they were going to do and what the overall plot was. But for us to then obviously we got the story of the reshoot and people were all panicky about it. And then it came out, and what we got was, it's probably my third favorite Star Wars film behind Star Wars and Empire. I put it above Jedi personally. What I want to do is, that's my take on it. I think that's for a film to come out, to be out there and not knowing what's coming, but to go into it and come out of that cinema so happy with the results that I'd seen, to see something that to me was almost perfect Star Wars, absolutely great. That's why that makes my top, my 40 Star Wars moments.
Rogue One is phenomenal. I'm not echoing, thank God. No, I am.
Yes, you are.
I'm trying to work out what's going on here. No idea what's happening, apologies, but I'll try and talk about mine without repeating myself, although it's going to happen because it's been programmed into it. My next moment is... I got a Lego Yoda. I should have brought it down with me, actually. It's in the corner of my room. Christmas in 2004, it's part of the Lego Ultimate Collector series. I remember when I was younger that this was amazing. It was like... Well, I don't know how many pieces are in it, and today it's worth quite a lot of money. However, I'd never sell it. It's a massive part. I remember sitting down and building it in a day. I would not go back and do it over a certain amount of days. I wanted it done like that. It was such good fun. And that's a big memory of me, because whenever people come over, like, oh, you've got a Lego Yoda. And it's really awesome thing to have.
The Lego, you're right. I mean, you have to have Lego in there. It was going to be in my list as well. I just think that from when they first started the sets to them being so basic, that there was like, a few pieces to them, and then you got the general idea. But to what they release, especially the Ultimate Collector series now, and to what we see in it, it's come on leaps and bounds. I only expect the Lego to get better and better over the years that they have the license. And I mean, that license is going nowhere, because it must make them an absolute fortune at Lego. But yeah, I hope that the sets just keep coming. Give me bigger sets. Give me more Ultimate Collector series. That's what I want from you, Lego. But yeah, worthy entry into the top 40, into our top 40 Star Wars moments. Phil, I believe you are next.
I am up next, yes. My next piece on here is the Imperial March. For me, the first time I heard that music, it literally gave me goosebumps. The Imperial March is one of those pieces of music that so well known in pop culture. I mean, when you hear it and you have Vader's breathing, it's just a very powerful piece of music, and it's one that's just lasted. And you can see it in TV shows like The Big Bang Theory or in Facebook and stuff. Just all these shows, all these references, and just this piece of music that has lasted and lasted and lasted. And it's so iconic that they've taken little pieces from it and put it in further films. So it's in Return of the Jedi, of course. It's in Rebels when you see Vader. It's in Rogue One, of course. It's just changed up slightly over the years, but ever since it was introduced back in 1980 for Empire Strikes Back, it was just it's incredible. Absolutely love that. I think it's one of all three of us favorite pieces of music. It's incredible.
It certainly is. If you're going to be putting music in your list, then Imperial March, you can't really go past it. I thought Duel of Fate is probably up there with it for myself, and I don't know if anyone else is. George, I don't know if you want to chime in on that as well. What about the music?
The music of Star Wars is absolutely outstanding. To this day, it's everyone knows the Imperial March is one of those themes that the whole world can speak about, and it's always going to be like that.
I think next we have, again, another one from
an audience member. This time is from Philip Bond. The guy kind of thought I faked this one. No, it is Philip Bond. It is not myself. But yes, so this was the Luke and Mara Jade wedding from the old expanded universe. It's nice to see an expanded universe piece that actually makes the list here. It's not something that I've personally read, but I have looked into it for the purposes of this this list, and I know Dave looked into it as well. And now they got actually married twice. But Mara Jade was a very popular Sith character from way back when in the expanded universe. Married to Luke, kind of yeah, I can't remember what she's a purple lightsaber as far as I remember. Yeah, she's a very interesting character, and a very interesting part of the Skywalker family, and how she kind of broke away and came back and tried to kill Luke on several occasions. You know, just how every husband and wife is. Pretty much how Dave you are when you buy stuff and you're like, what the hell you bought now?
Pretty much.
So yes, another cool introduction from the expanded universe. Another cool piece from our audience for this list.
I just think, I mean, before we move on from that, the next to my point next, I just want to say, I mean, before we had this new run of an influx of female characters. Mara Jade was probably one of the most popular female cosplays that are out there. Massively replaced now by Rey and Jin, who've certainly taken a precedent in that. But yeah, she was one you saw a lot of cosplay of because she was a major character. I mean, she was Darkseid. She was the Emperor's Hand was her official name, and she was sentenced to kill Luke after the Emperor got killed. So yeah, just a really interesting character. Again, not someone I don't know a lot of the legend stuff now, but yeah, thank you very much to Philip Bond for sending that one into us. So yeah, my next point is the Clone Wars and how it brought me back to Star Wars. I'll keep it short because obviously we've got still a lot to get through, but I'll keep it as short as I can. So yeah, before Clone Wars and the second trilogy of films had finished, I decided that yeah, I had the collection. If you've ever watched these videos behind me, I have a lot of merchandise, be it figures, models. I had a lot more than I've got now. And when episode 3 kind of finished, it all started thinking, oh, you know what? It's time to get rid of these things. I sold things that I cry about at night still. I had the Master Replicas, ObiWan, weathered lightsaber. And that went, and that was probably now it's probably a grail piece to try and get back again. I've looked at some prices and I can't get close to affording it again. But I sold everything. I got rid of everything I had Star Wars. And then this TV show started. And I went to the cinema to see the first 3 episodes they put together as one. And it was like, it's all right. It's okay. As the seasons went on, I got more and more enthralled by it. And it just rekindled every ounce of love for Star Wars that I'd ever had. And it got even stronger. The stories, the characters that it brought us, that fleshing out of Anakin Skywalker is probably the greatest thing the Clone Wars ever did. From it passing him by so quickly as Descent to the Dark Side in the films, you really get a sense of him in the Clone Wars. And yeah, it absolutely was. It's probably would have been my top 2 or 3 moments that the Clone Wars brought me back to Star Wars.
I think that Clone Wars is one of those where if you look at what happened, Star Wars was to me dead in the water, and when I eventually caught on to Clone Wars, I think I saw the first 3 seasons, and then it was suddenly up to date. I didn't watch it for a few more years, and then it was seasons. Whereas Force Awakens was coming out, that's when I rewatched it and went through it because I don't like watching shows weekly. I know I do for Rebels, that's an exception, but I prefer to sit and binge, and I did that when it did kind of finish. I'm next.
George, you're next. Yeah.
Well, it's like Goldberg from wrestling. Another one, similar to Dave's. I've called it post Rogue One hype, and with this was because when Rogue One, before it came out, I wasn't buying stuff. Force Friday, I'll talk later. I was mental, but Rogue One's like, nope, I'm not going to spend much. I'm not going to do anything like this. And in honesty, I didn't. And then when the film came out, the weekend after, that's when I spent all the money. And I think I've got all of the sets. Well, up until I think it was the February releases they did. I had all of them except the title. I bought a lot of stuff at the cinema. I ended up buying a lot of merchandise. I didn't expect to. But yeah, that was Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean that film again. You're right with the toys that came out. I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But again, I spent probably more money than my bank would have liked to let me on merchandise for Rogue One because it was so good. I don't know, Phil, if that was how you felt about it after you saw it.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, Rogue One was an incredible film. As per usual, Adele and I went to go see it for the midnight screening. And as soon as I walked out, pre-ordered Blu-ray straight away. It was an incredible film. That's why I mentioned the Michael Giacchino soundtrack earlier, because I was very hesitant about this film in terms of some of the little pieces like the soundtrack, and just like because it wasn't John Williams, or just because of certain pieces of the characters like Jyn Erso, Saw Gerrera, because Saw Gerrera was a character I loved from the Clone Wars, things like that. So to see that kind of film come together, just what came out of it was incredible. So yeah, no, I absolutely love Rogue One, and actually kind of ties in nicely to what my next point, which is for me, it's my next point is the first time you see Vader on the Tantive 4. Now, you also now can tie it into that scene from Rogue One with Vader just going down the hallway and massacring everyone. So for the first time you're watching Star Wars, when you're watching A New Hope for the first time, and you sit there and you watch Vader come through, the breathing, the boots, the sound, that before he even speaks, it's just his presence and the sound alone is just incredible. And then, of course, you have him interrogating the rebel officer there, and it's, the first time he speaks to Leia as well. You're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. That line for me just lives on and on and on. The first time you hear Vader, the first time you see him, and just his presence. I mean, growing up as a kid, he was my favorite villain. Luke was my favorite character of all time, still is. But my favorite villain of all time, although I can't really call him a villain anymore when you look at the entire story arc, is Vader. It's just, I absolutely love it. And the first time you see him, for me, is one of my favorite moments. And next, we're going to move on to actually Robin Wardle's first of 3 he's got in this list, which is the opening battle from Revenge of the Sith, that space battle where you have the Arc 170s, you have Anakin and ObiWan in the Jedi Starfighters, and you have R2 in the Buzz droids, and that scene, although a lot of what was gone on in the prequel trilogy has not aged extremely well, that scene has. That's one of the few things that, for me personally, has aged really well. And actually, every time I think about it or see it, it makes me want to watch Revenge of the Sith. I'm not a huge, I don't love the prequels the same way I love the original trilogy or the sequels, but I do like them. I've always gone on record by saying that at uni. I had to defend my love of Star Wars, and especially the prequels, from my lecturer, who said, the original trilogy is amazing. How can you like the prequels? Like, I like them. What's wrong with that? They are good films. They are good Star Wars films. They're not perfect, but then again, nothing ever can be. And to try and overtake the hype of the original trilogy is something that's extremely hard to do. And they're only just about doing it now with the sequel trilogy, because they've gone back to how it should be done by them making it like the original trilogy. But yes, that opening scene from Revenge of the Sith is amazing. Anyway, Dave, we are back onto you.
So it turns out I might have been the problem for causing the microphone issue after all of that. So I do apologize for that. You guys can hear me clearly okay now?
Yeah,
Perfectly fine now.
Fantastic. So my apologies. Bad Dave. My next point, I mean, I've gone to it a few times on this show, and it's the classic Kenner figures from my youth. These are the figures that were purchased for me, that were given to me. That's the toys I grew up with. The toys I'm still buying back and collecting now and building up that original collection. Those action figures were everything. That was my entry into Star Wars when the films weren't on. In the day when it would be on at Christmas, from about 82, you'd only get it on once a year. Didn't have the videos out, and if the videos did come out, they were really expensive. Those figures were how I lived Star Wars throughout the years when I was younger. You're talking from probably when I was about 4, and I got Star Wars figures, and I'd play all the way through, and you'd play and you'd have your characters and you'd make your own scenes. So I mean, it goes on still now, but those classic Kenner figures are just one of the things that kept Star Wars in me when I was younger. So that certainly made my list.
Indeed. David is 3.75 inches.
No, I will say the Kenner figures are awesome. I was very fortunate that I grew up with 1 or 2 of them. My uncle gave me a load. Obviously, I had no idea that they were valuable. I wouldn't want to change that because I loved playing with them as a kid. I've got the original Boba Fett, but he's got 1 arm. You've got
Sarlacc pit Boba Fett.
The Kenner figures are great, and I love that they're still about, and they're kind of come back with Black Series, and especially the vintage line, probably helping up the price of what people have left. But my next one, it's a rather cheesy one, as people know. I did a documentary recently, Builders Club. I've put Meeting of the R2 Builders on my list of my Star Wars moments. I think something I spent 4 or 5 months working on. I learned a lot of things that I didn't learn previously in the Star Wars fan base, and it's kind of really cool to meet them, see how they are, the droids, the dedication they have to them. I enjoyed making every minute of it, but it all comes down to meeting the guys, the clubs that are welcoming me and letting me be one of them. It was awesome, and I want to see what happens in the future. It's some really good memories, and it made a very special documentary at the end of the day.
And I think we've gone on record now with just our interview and our general praise of this documentary. I cannot, again, say enough. If it's still out there, it really is. The Facebook page, it's got a link on there. Go on YouTube and find Building R2, a documentary. Well worth a half hour of your time to watch through. But so well put together. And for what it is, I mean, I loved it. I want more of that. I really do.
Indeed. If you haven't gone and watched it yet, please do, because we all love it here. Next to me is the 40th anniversary panel of this year's Star Wars Celebration. We've got another little note for that later on, but I'm going to look at the panel as a whole. I don't think I've cried that much in a long time. Some of what happened there, seeing the fact that I had George Lucas come on and he be pretty much the host for the whole thing, and to have him just sit and chat, and actually the warmth, the genuine warmth from him and from Harrison Ford later, and from basically from all the cast and crew saying, we absolutely love this and we're happy it's still around. I mean, seeing Lucas be that kind of happy to answer Star Wars questions, to have Hayden Christensen come out and have that reception, the reception that he got, and his reaction was just so good to see. The fact he relaxed, and to see how basically just that panel kind of summed up everything as it should do. So the past 40 years of Star Wars, also in a very respectful manner, paying tribute to Carrie Fisher and Kenny Baker at the same time. It was just a very wonderful event. And we're going to move on to our next audience one, which is again another Robin Wilder one, because he has 3 in this, which is a Star Wars 2016 celebration moment, which is Carrie Fisher surprising Andy at Celebration, which that video, if you haven't watched it, is hilarious, because her reaction is just, it's priceless. Absolutely priceless. She breaks down in tears, bless her. And again, there's that wonderful dichotomy of Carrie Fisher that we all loved, of just how genuine she was, and also how she didn't give a crap. She was more than willing to talk to anyone and everyone, and gave her thoughts, be they controversial, be they whatever you want them to be. She would give you her thoughts and be down to what you thought about them. So to see her talking with Andy, and of course having Gary there as well. I know, George, you have a fondness for Gary as well. It was a very touching moment.
Go George.
I was going to say, at the time, I didn't watch the Star Wars show back then, and that clip went viral. It was a wonderful clip, and I think just on the lines of that with Carrie, another touching moment. It's not similar, but it is Andy Gutierrez's statement when Carrie passed away. It was heartfelt and it was honest. I don't know how they're connected, but they kind of vibe. You get what I mean? It's a tough one to talk about, but it's what Star Wars Celebration is about. It says everything you need to about Carrie Fisher. She's a wonderful person, and she'd go do that, and she loved it. Even say the Vanity Fair stuff. John Boyega talking about, when people were the racists, the Trump supporters were saying stuff about him on Twitter because he was a black stormtrooper. She was the one with the words of wisdom for him, and she's just a wonderful human being.
Andy Gutierrez. Andy Gutierrez working at Lucasfilm has become perfect. She's a great host of the Star Wars show, and that emotion that she showed when Carrie just appeared, she wasn't obviously expecting her, was a lovely moment. And going back to Phil's, that panel, the 40th anniversary panel, would have been worth the ticket price alone to get in there. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Indeed it is. And Davey, it's actually your turn next.
Yeah, and this one is probably the biggest, at the time, probably one of the biggest spoilers in cinema, one of the big first spoilers in cinema history. I am your father. It's that simple. That line, Darth Vader, and seeing that, I don't know how George, you came into these films from the prequel side and went through, so you always knew who Darth Vader was. And
wow.
I honestly don't know how that would feel. I remember seeing, I didn't see it in the cinema. I was very young. I saw it on VHS. And I still remember physically just not being able to process that as a child. I think it's quite an adult theme of that, and it did. It's a strange thing to learn that way. It's a big revelation. How, as I say, I think it's interesting. I'd like to know actually how it was for yourself when you came into Star Wars from that thing in that order.
I was 3 years old. I saw Phantom Menace first, several times at the cinema, and then I was introduced to, well, my uncle, the one I said gave me the kind of figures he gave me his videos, and there was no reaction. I was so young, I don't remember. However, I wouldn't have at the age of 3, you wouldn't have clocked on that Padme was Leia's mum. If there was cameras back then and my parents cared, maybe there could have been a funny video somewhere, but I don't remember it. You know, I would have been too young to comprehend the entire thing. It's one of those things where everyone always says, at a certain age, I'd love to go back and watch this for the first time, not knowing what happened. But that's the thing. Whenever I show Star Wars to people, I always try and show them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. But they already know it's his dad. You know, it doesn't matter how old you are; they've seen him. They know. So it's an interesting one. But it's looking back as someone that likes film, not just Star Wars. One of the biggest twists in cinema, and to this day, like, yes, I love Star Wars, but I appreciate everything they did. There was nothing like it when it had come out, but it's because I grew up with it. It had a different effect on me. It's so weird, but I love it still.
It's just that moment. It's just the perfect. I can't even put into words how much I love this moment. It turns the saga on its head. It turns the villain on his head. It starts his redemption at that point. It's just a wonderful, wonderful moment.
It is. I mean, I came into that watching A New Hope, and I watched the original trilogy before I watched the prequels. I was old enough at that point to give them all to watch them before I knew it. You know, I was around before the prequels were around. I knew Star Wars before the prequels, and for me, that was one of the best moments. I mean, yeah, I was shocked at the time. Again, I was at that particular point. I would have been. So we're talking 1997 to 98. So I would have been 6, 7 years old. So for me, watching that for the first time was it blew my mind. And it still remains one of my personal favorite scenes as well. So it's a good choice there. Of course, George, you're up next. Number 22. We have broken the halfway point, of course. We're now on the home stretch, as it were.
I've put a moment, as in from the actual films properly this time. The other one I have Vader's redemption. Growing up as a kid.
Yeah, you stole it from me in the brackets and in this.
It's the greatest moment of the series. It's truly phenomenal. Nothing can compare to this. I don't care what people say. I'd be very shocked if 8 and 9 can top this. If they do, you are wonderful. But it's such an iconic piece. But I grew up with this, the redemption, the twist, the music from John Williams. It is a perfect sequence, and it's going to become tough for any film to ever top that, me personally. It's truly wonderful, and it's all about what the saga's about now, I guess you could say.
Indeed, indeed. So before moving on to my point, I agree. I mean, as I said, you stole it from me for this and for about the brackets. For me, it's also my personal favorite scene as well. To have Luke versus the Emperor, and to have Vader twisting Luke the way he did, the twists and turns of that final battle. Of course, we are all talking about the special edition version, not the Blu-ray version, because those no's at the end just ruin that scene completely. I prefer it as nice and silent, not that. Oh God, they ruined that scene with those no's. I've had massive rants on that in the past. I won't continue now because we have many more to get through. Many more to get through. So for me, the next one I have on here is the prequels/sequels being announced. Now, so I was young, old enough that back in 98, 99, I was watching the trailers for episode 1, like you were, Dave. So I know you are slightly older than I am, but I remember that. I was there. My granddad used to get the paper and give me. I still got them upstairs, actually, the articles that are written on it. So you had the previews and that. So I remember when they revealed Darth Maul had this double-ended lightsaber. I remember losing it, going, "Wait, two blades? Are you kidding? That's awesome!" So seeing the trailers for the first time, and yes, being a kid, I liked Jar Jar when it came out of the cinema. Of course, these days, being old, I've changed my opinion on that one. But the announcement for more Star Wars films was incredible. And I met a good friend of mine who we've had commentary on this, Robin Wardle, in between 1 and 2, and it was like I said to him the other day, how cool is it that back then we were discussing between 2 and 3 sit and say how lucky were we to discussing Star Wars films within our lifetime, and now again with the prequel films we get to sit and discuss them again, and now I get to discuss it with you guys. We get to discuss Star Wars, and I don't mean just sit and chat it. I mean we get to discuss theories and characters and what we think could come next, where we want them to go with it. To have unknown Star Wars, that's what I mean. So to have this hype being built up back then was awesome without any internet, and now of course the fact that we get to do this show, I mean we've all said it before, we love doing the show. It's one of our favorite things. Every 2 weeks we get to sit down and chat Star Wars. We don't get bored. Our other halves, our families, they get bored of us chatting Star Wars, but we get to sit here and chat to you guys about it, and it's we absolutely love it. So yeah, for me that was one of my top moments of all time, was just the fact that we get to chat this as well. And Robin knows this, I chatted to him about this the other day, just that with how lucky we are to get to chat new Star Wars films. And I feel, I'm happy that the younger generation gets that now with the sequels, like we had it with the prequels. But yeah, so moving on to Robin Ward's actually last point on this one, which is the Harrison Ford genuine thanking fans at Star Wars Celebration 2017 in that 40th anniversary con I mentioned earlier. I left that bit out specifically because I knew this bit was coming up, but that moment was incredible to see Harrison Ford not be grumpy for once, to see him actually genuinely reflecting on his character and his relationship with the fans was incredible. I mean, I know you two watched it as well. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Do you want to go first, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the panel as a whole was thoroughly. It was so satisfying on so many levels. To have Harrison Ford come out with George Lucas being there, and he seemed genuinely happy. Like Phil just said, he seemed genuinely happy to be there. You must have just heard about his autograph signing prices. But he was genuinely, and it did seem like a really genuine thanks for doing this, and thanks for being fans. And it's taken him a long time to get to be that. For a long time, he seemed very disinterested at all in anything to do with Star Wars. But he's done that with all of his characters, really, where once he's done them and played them, that's it for him. He is very much an actor's actor. But yeah, it was a really nice moment. I really enjoyed seeing it.
Yeah, it was. You did, but you didn't expect him to come out. And the way I've always said it before, since his plane crash, he's been a very different person in his interviews. He seems to be a lot more grateful for everything. He's doing more films. He's coming out. I think he's changed his life. Changed his life. He said he was very fortunate to be alive after the plane crash, and I think just seeing how he is now compared to he was 5 years ago, he's so much different for the better. And yes, there are some ridiculous prices, but Harrison Ford of 5 years ago wouldn't have done a private autograph signing at all.
Yeah, indeed. We got a blast for this because we're over our limit already. So Dave, next one.
I don't even need to talk about this. Very simply, my next entry into my top 40 things in Star Wars, R2-D2. Best droid ever. I love him. I have so many collectibles of R2-D2. I will collect very many more in my many, many years I have ahead of me.
And I will never stop bugging you until you do that Sideshow Collectibles review. You know this. You haven't done it yet, but I'm disappointed.
I'm kind of holding off on it just because of that. But yeah, that literally is it. R2-D2 as a character, awesome. Love him.
Yep. George?
I've put Force Friday down, number 4. So, gosh, episode 7 was coming up. And obviously, I didn't know you guys here, so I don't even know if you guys will know this, but Force Friday was special to say the least. Where I work in retail, I'm good friends with a manager of a certain department at my store. I'm not going to go into details on that. However, I remember dropping a text saying, "Hey, there's Star Wars stuff out tomorrow. What are we selling?" And I got a phone call saying, come into work, and I'll open all the Hasbro boxes out the back with you. And obviously, it wasn't like the Black Series stuff. It wasn't the major stuff. While I was studying, it was sort of supermarket work. And I got dibs on like 40, 50 quid's worth of stuff on the day before Force Friday. And then Force Friday happened. I got paid on the day. Dangerous times. But obviously, everything went on sale at midnight. Obviously, the money isn't going to account until a couple of hours in. And I had a Sphero BB-8 ordered off Zavi. I had to get everything from everywhere because everywhere had sold out and not had it. I got the entirety of the first range of Black Series figures, and let's get one of them off like the Entertainer. 2 of them, I think, were from Amazon. And it was the 4 days that followed. I don't want to know how much money I spent, but it was like Christmas arriving in a delivery each day. And to the point of BB-8, I was setting him on my dogs. As everyone said, you play with him for a bit, and then he goes in your cabinet. He looks beautiful in the cabinet. Whenever family come over, I tell them that he's not charged because I don't want them to break him. I'm that kind of person. But
when I see you next week, I must see this
BB-8. Well, I don't mind with you because you went driving down some stairs. But
the hell no.
Fourth Friday, again, it's just the epitome of the build-up to Episode 7. Everything going to sell. At this point, I'm kind of grateful I didn't buy Lego because I know I would have ended up buying the Falcon. I would have ended up buying Kylo Ren's ship. But that's why, I'm so excited for this year because obviously us three are going to be at the Disney store together. There's going to be a Poe Dameron helmet. There's going to be so much stuff happening. But the downside is now that I want to get a couple of Legos, it's even more money to find for the day.
The dangerous side is you also get paid that day as well.
I do. But because it's not going to go into my account until like 5, 6 a.m., I've got to do an August pay slip to pay for it. But it's Force Friday is going to be exceptional. It's going to be carnage. It's going to be amazing.
Indeed. So next up is my next one, which is for me, we're seeing the Falcon in the Force Awakens trailer. The Force Awakens trailer, when they revealed it at Celebration, was absolutely insane. So I'm not talking about the original teaser here, I'm talking about the trailer at Celebration. Oh my god, that trailer was incredible. That trailer was as outstanding from the start to finish, but seeing the Falcon made it Star Wars. If you know what I mean, that was what brought it home. This is before the Chewie We're Home trailer, which was out later in the year, but it just made it. It was incredible. I actually remember watching it with Adele, and she punched the ceiling. Actually, literally punched the ceiling and did her wrist in, to the point of she actually had an operational assist later that year because she damaged it that badly. It was hilarious. For seeing the Falcon for the first time in The Force Awakens, seeing just. Oh, that trailer entirely. I've put that moment, but that first trailer, when you see the first, we'd seen images, but the first clips of a new Star Wars universe is always good. But to see it with the Falcon was just blew my mind completely. But yeah, next we have another audience one, which is from Lydia Pearson, which is Vader's transformation. On the Facebook one here, Vader's transformation is one of my all-time favorite scenes. I've gone back and watched this several times. It's just this. I mean, Hayden Christensen gets a lot of flack for his role. He shouldn't do. I think it's starting to become less and less nowadays. But that scene was done so well, and to have, you should have had less green screen, obviously. Then again, that's just our gripe with Episode 3 and Episode 2 in general. But to have the Emperor there, and to have Vader breathing for the first time, to have the helmet come down and just click into place. And have James Earl Jones come back was just incredible. It's for me, again, one of my all-time favorite scenes. So thank you for that suggestion.
Sorry. I do want. I mean, it is a great scene. The only thing that I find detrimental about it, that I don't enjoy, is Hayden does not fill that suit enough. I know it's Vader's start, but the costume just looks a bit too like they built it for someone a bit bigger, and he really wanted to be in it, and that's my only gripe for it. But other than that, the helmet going on over his burnt body, that click, there's a few seconds of silence, and that little bit of smoke around as he left that first breath out. That's really more from Episode 3. It really is for me.
Yeah, Dave, you're up next.
I am. Sorry. Yes. So my next moment is. My first moment of Star Wars that I ever saw was the opening to A New Hope. And to see that level, I mean, I was a kid, so you don't know what these things are, and you'd see these things as real. I mean, you watch a movie and you don't know at that age what you're seeing is a model, and people have put hours in this. You just see a spaceship appearing. And even now, where it's probably one of those shots in A New Hope that you think, that's never been touched. George Lucas went back and made changes and put digital things in to the end of A New Hope. Changed the speed, the X-wings and the TIE fighters. That's still that same model from '77 flying over that screen, and it still is breathtaking and it's still beautiful to look at. And yeah, that is definitely. It's probably in my top 2 Star Wars moments.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's why I chose it for Battle of the Brackets when we did that on our first kind of the very first iteration of this show. And I absolutely adore that scene. It's one of my favorites of all time. And yeah, as you said, it only got, like, the laser blast got a little touch up and some of the effects got a little touch up. The actual scene itself was spot on. They kept the model. It was, yeah, it's so powerful. I love that scene. Anyway, George.
My next one, Midnight Force Awakens. Similar to Dave with episode 1, obviously different generations. Wow, I mean, it was the journey. I spoke about Force Friday before, but you know, I've seen fanboys and the reaction. Unfortunately, my cinema didn't have people camping out overnight. We live in an era of internet sales. Even getting the tickets was a nightmare. I got my midnight ones booked, and I booked the seat B8 for BB8, which was it's just sad, but it was great. It was actually good seats anyway. But the whole journey to the midnight, and what was amazing was turning up to a cinema and seeing there were 5 screenings at midnight. Which for my local one, you're lucky if they do 1. They might do 2 for the Avengers, but 5 for the Force Awakens, and they were all sold out. It just turning up and seeing hundreds and hundreds of Star Wars fans together was amazing. I was in all my Episode 7 gear, as in my Star Wars top. I had both pairs of 3D glasses. You could buy the Kylo one for the Stormtrooper ones. But it was just turning around. Everyone you know is here for Star Wars. You're seeing people from school. For me, I've seen some even customers at work who I've now didn't speak to, but there's that kind of nodment of yes, we were there. Especially when I've got a Star Wars mug on my till at work, and it was an experience that it wasn't cheering as such like that. When this wasn't like an American screening, but it was the murmur, the excitement, and the second that Lucasfilm logo came on, pure silence. I was an emotional wreck throughout the screening. I cried on the opening crawl. I'm not afraid to admit that. I didn't stop crying at the Han Solo death until like I got out of the car when I was home. I was traumatized from that. But there was without doubt the best cinema experience I've ever had. And I saw it 5 times. That's eventually across multiple IMAXs and stuff like that.
Indeed, just to add on to that, I actually went in my Kylo Ren cosplay that I'd made for Comic-Con in October. I built it purely off the trailers and off of Star Wars Celebration images. And I was a nervous wreck. Again, I went to a cinema near here for IMAX. They had 9 showings on. And again, every single one was sold out. I was a nervous wreck throughout. Again, I didn't stop crying. In fact, I didn't stop crying until we got out the cinema, got in the car, drove home. And as soon as I got in, Adele fell asleep after we were up chatting for a good hour and a half because we were so buzzed off it. And then I was on Twitter I was on Google, just Googling Kylo Ren just because I wanted to have a look at some of the Star Wars Episode 7 because I wanted to look at some of the rumors we'd had before to see how true they'd got and all the rest of it. And immediately popped up on Google, someone on Twitter had put Han Solo died. And it was, I literally went onto it on Twitter and blasted this guy and made him take it down because like his things like, well, it's out now, so people are going to see it. It's like, yeah, it's been out all 3 hours. Like, are you kidding me? It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's like people went to a midnight screening, yes. What about those who are going to see it during the day coming up? What about those who are seeing it at the weekend? What the hell do you think you're doing? And that was the polite way of putting it, because this is a PG show. I was a little bit, harsher than that.
The only way to see those films when they first come out, I think the midnight showing is when you are surrounded by
pure fans.
Yeah, and it makes the experience so much more special. And I hope one day that we will actually, the 3 of us will go to a midnight screening of one of these movies.
We'll do 9 at least.
Well, yes, absolutely. We'll have to do one of them, yeah.
Yeah. But, so the next one is my one again. It's me meeting Mark Hamill. Now, this isn't a moment in terms of the films or the TV shows. I don't think we actually got any of the TV shows in this one. But for me, that was nearly 20 years of build-up, because ever since seeing the film in 1997 to 2016, Lucas always has been, always will be my favorite character of all time. That's why I'm so excited for 7, 8, and 9. 7, yes, he was at the end. I was like, oh my god, he's just gonna. There's not gonna say anything. He's just please don't cut to the end. Please don't cut to the end. I was like, no, I want more. But at least I know that it's gonna pick up from that for episode 8, and I can't wait for episode 8. So for me, it was the one expense that I really had budgeted for. It was £135 to meet him, but I didn't care. I budgeted for that. I saved up for that specifically because I wanted to meet Mark Hamill, and that is my pride and joy. Is my signed VHS. I got the VHS signed because that's what my dad gave me in '97. It's what got me into the whole thing. It's more sentimental than anything else. So yeah, for meeting him was for me was one of my top moments of all time. I actually can't go into my top moment of all time because I don't talk about what I do for a living on here. So outside of that will be my top moment. Next, we have another audience one, which is from Lydia Pearson again. It's the Ewoks. So you're talking about Return of the Jedi. Now, a lot of people don't like the Ewoks, but kind of like Jar Jar. They're there for kind of the younger side of the audience, but also kind of proves that teddy bears can be brutal. And the Star Wars universe is filled up of cute, cuddly things that can rip your face off. And it's one of those things that I like the Ewoks. I like what they bring to the table. I like the fact that it was showing that even the most primitive things can rise up against the oppressors, that can rise up against the jackboot. To have a planet that had been enslaved purely just for a shield generator, so you had the Death Star above it, to see them rise up against the Empire, to see their cunning, to see them worship 3PO, that was just brilliant. Yeah, no, I love the Ewoks as well. Guys, you have anything to add on that?
Love the Ewoks. One of my favorite things of Return of the Jedi. I love Return of the Jedi. People hate on them. I guess it's an age thing, but to me, they make it. And people moan, "Oh my god, why did the Ewoks get through the Stormtrooper armor?" Well, Donnie Yen did it with a stick, and I don't see people complaining about that now too.
I've got no problems with the Ewoks. They are what they are. They are teddy bears. I don't know if they ever designed to be anything else, but yeah, originally
they were going to be Wookiees, of course.
I've never been taken out of Return of the Jedi because of the Ewoks. So yeah, absolutely. Let's give them their place in this top 40.
40 for 40. Dave, you're actually up next as well with another one you stole from me. You guys have stolen many from my list. Damn it. But again, it proves why we are friends and why we do the shows, because we do love Star Wars and we all pick moments we all have to change because we all pick them. So yeah, Dave, you're up next.
That's why I made sure my list went in first.
Yes.
So yeah, this is of my last two moments that I picked, and this one is the trench run. The last one was the beginning of A New Hope. Right now, back at the end of A New Hope. First Star Wars film I saw. It's still my favorite Star Wars film. It will always be my favorite Star Wars film. I know Empire is a lot of people's go-to because, don't get me wrong, it's an exceptional film. But for me personally, and in my heart, A New Hope will always be my first foray into Star Wars. I will always put that as my number one movie. So yeah, the trench run is that perfect ending, the anticipation of whether they're going to make the shot. Seeing it now, it's perfectly obvious. Of course, he's going to get the end and destroy the Death Star. When you see that, and there's so much tension in it, Vader's just behind him, and he blows R2, and then he's in his sights, and Han comes in, and the Falcon's back, and woohoo! To make the shot, and it blows. Look, they homage it in The Force Awakens. That's how powerful it is. Like, we're going to have this again. Let's put a little bit of a trench run in here as well. It's perfect cinema. It's absolute perfect cinema.
Indeed. It's one of my favorite moments of all time, especially when you have Vader going, "I have you now," and then to have what with the Falcon coming in and just yes, no, more of it. I say, George, you're up next.
Number 2. I put it as meeting Carrie Fisher at Star Wars Celebration last year. As a kid, growing up, like everyone loves Princess Leia. She was funny, and as an adult, you see Carrie Fisher still funny, but she's not. Well, she is. She says she's Princess Leia, but she's Carrie. But when you talk about you meet these famous people, you get horror stories of people meeting some. But then when we met Carrie Fisher, me and my sister, it was honestly one of the most incredible moments of my life, because we spoke. When you go to conventions, you get like 30 seconds with someone, normally, if that. Maybe if they're nice, you'll get a minute. Me and my sister had about 3 or 4, and there was a crew guy trying to usher us on to get the other signings, and she was having none of it. And I think one of the reasons why was because we've got 2 bulldogs at home. Obviously, Gary's a French bulldog, so what happened with the build-up to it, someone in front of us didn't speak to her and got 10 autographs. The guy before was just a weird, he got loads of autographs, didn't say anything. And she looked really bored, and not like an arrogant way, but me and my sister, we were excited to meet her. We weren't excited to get the autograph, we were excited to meet her and have a conversation with her. And when she's got Gary sleeping with her at the table, we just like couldn't not talk about it. And she was as wonderful as she is on TV interviews. She was hilarious. She was chatting, and when she said bye to us, we turned around and she licked Gary's face. That's Carrie Fisher for you. She was honestly an absolute delight, and I was just so happy to have the opportunity to meet her. But also, I've met a couple of people before and they've been assholes, and she wasn't that. And like what everyone says, a 5-minute interaction with her represents everything that everyone else has said about it. It's not lies. It's not a PR image. This is her, and it was just wonderful.
Yeah, indeed. It was much the same when I met Mark Hamill. I had a full-on conversation with him. Again, I'm not going to go into the details of it on here, purely because it actually involved work. But yeah, no, I had a conversation with him, and it far exceeded my expectations, because you do expect these people to not so much be arrogant, but it's more of a, you don't know what you're quite going to get. And they always say, don't meet your heroes, and they're there to, they have a lot to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're sat there, they have to sign so many autographs, take photos, they have obligations, so they are working. You have to remember this when you meet these people, they are indeed working. Although they are there to meet you and you're paying to meet them, it's a job. They don't have to do it, but they have to keep some sort of semblance of people moving along, all the rest of it. But to have a conversation was just special. I'm going to move on because I know my microphone will start farting in not too long if I'm not careful. So yeah, the next one for me was the announcement of new comics and books in the new canon universe. The fact that they took the old expanded universe, which was all muddled and confused, chucked out the window, put it in its own banner of legends, and then created this new canon universe where they've created things like the new Thrawn book, which I will be getting soon so that we can all do our review. They created all of these comic books. So you have things like Dr. Aphra, who's become a fan favorite. It was same with Solo with some of the books, like you have Heirs to the Jedi is one of these fantastic books where you see Luke have a love interest that's outside of the outside of his sister, but it gives you this interesting background to the character. Neferi Kell is a brilliant character. There's a character called Grand Admiral Sloane, who features all the way from A New Dawn, which is Rebels era, all the way through to Empire's End, which is Aftermath era, which is literally End of Jedi. So you've got characters that span many years and gives you this depth and this added background to the universe, which I absolutely love. And I'm a big reader. I love the comic books and the books, which is why I love doing Star Laws. As Dave said earlier, I'll be the one probably talking you through the Mace Windu comic and the K2SO one-shot. So yeah, I can't wait for that. Next one is another audience one, second last audience one, which is from Adele. Hers is Chirrut Imwe and the AT-AT appearing through the forests on Scarif. And yeah, that is one incredible scene. When you hear the AT-ACTs, actually it's not AT-ATs, AT-ACTs coming through the forest, when you hear them and you hear the hydraulics and you see the ground shake and you turn around, you just see them appearing through the smoke and through the forest. It's just incredible. It's one of those shots that you just go, wow, Gareth Edwards has absolutely nailed this film.
He seemed to treat it very much like he would, and George has seen it. I know you've seen there's other films. I saw Godzilla, but he treated it like a creature. I thought that's that kind of imposing monster that came through. I don't know if that's what George your take was from it as well.
It was absolutely hilarious, the Chirrut Imwe line. I was pissing myself at the cinema. There were other people doing it, and I'm meeting him on Friday. Wait, hold on. Did I just do the? Are you kidding me? I'm blind.
You did the wrong one, but that's okay.
I did the wrong one.
That's
sorry.
That's next.
I did have some breaking news, but it's not Star Wars related. That's why. But yeah, it was just the AT-AT one.
That one, yeah. The way Gareth Edwards shot it like a monster.
Perspective. Gareth Edwards is a wonderful filmmaker. I cannot wait to see his future content. But his perspective style of shooting is, you haven't seen it in Star Wars before. We see it throughout Rogue One, and seeing, the AT-ATs look menacing. They are menacing in Empire Strikes Back. They've dated very well, but they didn't look as menacing as they did in Rogue One. However, they're awful in Rogue One in terms of they don't kill anyone. But if you'd have took the Empire Strikes Back Hoth battle and shot via Gareth Edwards, that'd be
mind blowing.
Yeah, right words.
Indeed, indeed. So, yeah, Dave, you're up next with your last one.
Yeah, my last pick for my 10 in our 40 on 40 or 40 for 40 is Ewan McGregor's You Were the Chosen One speech from the end of Revenge of the Sith. Ewan McGregor throughout that trilogy grew to me to be my favorite character in the prequel saga. From him coming in and playing that part and to the guy he was at the end of Revenge of the Sith, getting closer to that Guinness character. The emotion that he was probably gave one of the best acting performances out of the people who are in the three films. Certainly, he's up a level on even like Portman, who seemed to phone it in certain scenes. You can see the reshoots where she's really thin because she's obviously shooting the ballet movie on the balcony. But yeah, I thought Ewan McGregor stood out so far, head and shoulders above a lot of the other actors. And that scene where he's standing, he's just cut his best friend in pieces. And for that, you were the chosen one. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. You're my brother, Anakin. I loved you. And it's from those films that is probably, and it's only a few seconds, but it's probably my favorite moment of the prequel trilogy, outside of the Darth Plagueis scene. But that certainly is, yeah, Ewan McGregor in that film, in that scene, favorite moment.
It's an amazing speech, and I think, you know, when you see it, Ewan McGregor, I've got the right one this time, don't worry. Ewan McGregor is absolutely wonderful, and there's a reason everyone wants him back, and hopefully we do get him back, and I'm convinced we will get him back into Star Wars.
I know, I gave you a list of, damn it.
If people want to know the news, okay.
Wait for after the 40 for 40. We'll do it. Just do
yeah,
it
I was going to say, it's not Star Wars related, but it's geek related.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right, we'll leave it after the 40 for 40 because we've only got a few bits left. So, George, you are up next, though, with your final piece.
My final piece, I'm going to get this right. I just put Star Wars Celebration 2016, and I could split that up into 5-6 reasons why. I've already split up into one with Carrie Fisher. Dave took one of us three meeting in the queues. There are so many amazing moments from Celebration. Being in the Rogue One panel, although I wasn't, I'm guessing you guys were sat together.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
Obviously, I didn't know you guys then, but to me, seeing Krennic like walk past with Death Troopers, everyone knows how much I love Death Troopers.
God, that was so cool.
It was amazing. The whole event. That was day one. Day one. Then came meeting Carrie, meeting Mark, meeting Star Wars guys, meeting you guys. It was just an amazing experience, and you know, we will go to more celebrations. However, I don't know if it'll ever top it because it was the first time I experienced that. I was fortunate enough to win tickets to go to the Force Awakens streaming at the Empire IMAX 2 years ago. Met Warwick Davis there. He hosted the Q&A. They live streamed over the panel from Anaheim, and I got myself a celebration poster, which was amazing. That was a cool experience, but that wasn't real celebration. It was truly... there was a good year of building up to the day we got our tickets. It was, you know, reliving that over the years is going to be something that's hard to top, but I cannot wait to go to more.
Indeed. Yeah, again, Dave pinched our, probably collectively, one of our favourites. It was finally all three of us meeting. Yeah, I met Dave on the first day when I was having an animated discussion with some Germans about queuing overnight and things. Yes, so that was amazing. For me, my final moment is my favourite moment. I have left this one to last, which was seeing Star Wars for the first time in 1997. My dad took me to see it. Kind of an excuse he took me because he wanted to see it again. He thought I'd enjoy it, kind of thing, but he did it more for him than for me. However, Star Wars from then was my life, and seeing the Star Destroyer come over the top of the screen for the very first time just blew my mind. I thought it was real. I genuinely thought it was real. And to see Vader for the first time, to see a lightsaber for the first time, to see all of that for the first time was just absolutely incredible. Seeing Star Wars for the first time absolutely 100% blew my mind, and I absolutely loved it. And from there on, it's kind of dictated what I now do for a living. It's dictated my interests, my hobbies. It's basically it helped shape my life in so many positive ways. So yes, seeing Star Wars for the first time has to be my top moment of all time. And then of course we do round it out with The final pick of all, the final audience pick, which we're going to leave on a funny note, which is Adele Hall's funny again, which is the "Are you kidding me? I'm blind." Which, George, now you can talk about it. Yes, I mean, "Are you kidding me? I'm blind" is one of the funniest moments in Star Wars history. So Gareth Edwards absolutely nailed Rogue One, and that was one of the best scenes in it. I absolutely adore it. I think it's hilarious.
It's a funny line, and it just goes to the character of Chewie Imwe that he's not a joker. But when he wants to make a comedic line, it's funny as hell. It's one of the funniest lines, and I guess common sense prevails with it because he'll know a bag's over his head and he knows he's blind. It made sense to say something, but everyone was pissing themselves at each showing of the cinema at that. It really was a hilarious moment. I know I said this a minute ago, but I can't wait to meet him on Friday. I really cannot wait. Again, testament of Rogue One, Gareth Edwards. It's got phenomenal moments. And, it's not like a Marvel film where there's a dark situation, they're making comedy jokes. This made a joke or two because it suited the characters and the placement of what's happening on screen.
It was we've gone now through 40 moments picked out by ourselves and by other people on Facebook. And thank you very much for your interaction with us. It's been, yes, we've run nearly 2 hours and we've gone through a lot of things. But these lists we could have been doing this for another 2 hours if we decide to put film moments in. We've tried to keep it sort of as broad a spectrum as possible. I just think
we didn't even put any TV, but there's nothing from Rebels and nothing from Clone Wars in this. I mean, your Clone Wars was talking about it bringing you back to the Star Wars universe, but we didn't talk about the Clone Wars and Rebels. And there's plenty of moments in Clone Wars and Rebels, like seeing Thrawn for the first time, especially at Celebration. Again, we talked about Celebration there, but seeing Vader coming back and having James Earl Jones returning to the Star Wars universe for the first time since Episode 3 was incredible. So to have all these moments, again, we could do this for hours on end. But thank you everyone for your interaction. It was an absolute blast. But we have run for nearly 2 hours, and I think it's about time we wrap this up. Is there anything else we want to mention, guys?
It's the 40th anniversary of Star Wars tomorrow. Go watch a Star Wars film.
Yes, watch a Star Wars movie. Go buy some product. Keep the coffers of Disney going, because if they don't get any money soon, they may stop having to make films because they're probably running low. But yes, so
sorry, Harrison Ford will fund them by doing more autographs. It's fine.
Thank you to everyone who's joining us, who's listening on iTunes. If there's an echo issue on it, I apologize. My fault. I didn't realize. But just thank you so much for coming on this journey with us. We're still young. We've been doing this 6 months. Yeah. And we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep building. As I say, we've got stuff coming. We're going to get together for Force Friday this year. We're all going to be there at midnight in Disney, and we're going to be live from there. And we've got stuff coming, and I think just come with us on this journey. And if you're on the channel, subscribe, come on board, tell your friends that there's a great Star Wars channel, bring them on over. But really, just for me, a big thank you for staying with us. If you've listened to this all, or you've watched us all, thank you very much for listening to us go on about Star Wars for 2 hours.
Indeed. Let's remember that. I've got to say thank you to the comment section we've had, to the live chat we've had. With Lydia, we've had Robin, we've had John commenting, we've had, I've been chatting to them whilst the show's been going on, having a laugh with them, talking about, why didn't we include Sand and AP5s? So only good things on this list, we're not including that. To have this audience reaction is an interaction is something that we love. So this is a show that, we're going for 5 months, 6 months. This is our 10th regular show, so that's 20 weeks of Ones of the Force of Star Wars podcast, not including all the specials we did for Celebration, the other specials we've done and got coming as well. We've got so much in the pipeline, so thank you everyone for joining us. Go watch a Star Wars film tomorrow. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We've been Ones of the Force. May the Force of others be with you. Good night.